In this video, I'll be replacing the front tire on my Honda CRF 250L. The Kenda K270 tire that I had on the front wasn't completely worn, but it was cupping and causing a lot of vibration when riding. I'm going to be replacing it with a much more street-oriented Shinko 705 series 80/20 dual sport tire and the IRC heavy-duty motorcycle tube. To do this, you'll need a 12mm wrench, a ratchet, 12mm and 17mm socket, a torque wrench, some tire irons, a valve core removal tool, a tire pressure gauge, and an air compressor. You may also need a bottle of dish soap and a rag to help with seating the bead. Let's get started by lifting the front tire off the ground. I usually do this by setting the bike on a 5-gallon bucket. Next, loosen the two 12mm axle pinch bolts. Then, using the 17mm socket, remove the axle shaft. After the axle shaft is removed, remove the wheel and side collars. Take out the valve core with a valve core removal tool and let all the air out of the tire. Using the 12mm wrench, remove the outer valve stem nut, then pop the bead off of the rim on both sides, but protect the brake rotor when you put that side down. Using a set of tire irons, begin to take the tire off of one side of the rim. Then once you get it started with the irons, it's pretty easy to take it the rest of the way off with your hands. After one side of the bead is off, take off the valve stem, then remove the inner tube. Then finish taking the old tire off of the rim. When mounting a directional tire like the Shinko 705 series, make sure that you get the correct direction of rotation when mounting the tire. Insert one side of the rim into the tire and use tire irons to get the tire all the way onto the rim. I'm not too worried about scratching my rims, but if you are, companies like Bead Busters do sell products to protect the rim from scratches. Next, locate the red dot on the tire if it has one. This will need to be aligned with a valve stem for proper weight distribution and balancing. On the new tube, remove the valve cap and outer nut, then work it inside the tire all the way around the rim. Probably the most difficult part in this whole process is pushing the valve stem through the hole in the rim. After you get it through, thread the nut on to hold the valve stem in place. Don't worry about tightening it up all the way just yet. Using soap and water or a commercial bead lubricant, wipe down the outer tire bead, and using the tire irons, finish mounting the bead on the rim. You want to work around towards the valve stem so that when you get to this point, the tire on the opposite side can slide down into the valley of the rim. Using the 12mm wrench, snug up the nut on the valve stem. To get the bead on my tire to seat properly, I had to apply some additional soap and water. Add a little bit of air to the inner tube, then bounce the tire all the way around to make sure the inner tube is seated properly inside the tire. Then continue adding air to seat both beads. Make sure that you don't exceed the manufacturer's maximum rated pressure. Inspect the bead on both sides to make sure it's seated properly, then inflate the tire to 22 psi. Reinstall the valve cap. Make sure that the front wheel bearing seals are free of dirt and debris. I also like to add a light coat of grease to the seals. Also clean both side collars before reinstalling them on each side of the wheel. To reinstall the front wheel assembly, I find it easiest to stand over the front forks, then lift the wheel while watching the brake rotor slide between the pads. While holding the wheel in place with one hand, use your other hand to slide the axle in and start the threads. Once the threads are started by hand, use a 17mm to snug the bolt, then torque the axle to 54 foot-pounds. Finally, torque the front wheel axle pinch bolts to 15 foot-pounds each. Now give the tire a spin, check the beads on each side, make sure there's no unusual wobbles. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please click the like button. Also show your support by subscribing to the channel. Leave any comments or questions you have in the comment section below.